Her brother texted me the night before the wedding. "You deserve better. Ask her about Vegas." So I did. She froze. And that's when her maid of honor stood up and said, "You didn't tell him." Hey Reddit, long-time lurker, first-time poster here. This story is absolutely insane, and I desperately need to get it off my chest. Names changed for obvious reasons, except for family members who are part of this mess. All right, guys, buckle up because this story is going to completely blow your mind. I'm Ryan, 32 years old, and I work as a senior investment advisor for one of the major financial firms here in Denver, Colorado. I'm not gonna lie or try to be modest. I do extremely well for myself financially. My base salary is around $290,000, plus performance bonuses that can easily hit six figures in good years. I own a beautiful house in Cherry Hills Village, worth about $1.3 million, drive a BMW M5 that I bought outright, and have a solid investment portfolio that's been growing steadily for years. I'm not trying to show off or brag here, just setting the scene because my financial situation becomes absolutely crucial to understanding this entire story. 2 years ago, I met this woman named Jessica at a charity gala downtown. She was working as what she called a digital marketing specialist, which basically meant she managed Instagram and Facebook accounts for maybe 3 or 4 small local businesses and pulled in roughly $38,000 on a really good year. But holy cow, she was absolutely stunning. 5 feet 7 inches, perfect blonde hair, bright blue eyes, incredible figure. The kind of woman who could literally stop traffic just by walking down the street, and she knew exactly how gorgeous she was. She had this incredible way of making you feel like you were the most important and interesting person in the entire room when she talked to you. Looking back now with perfect hindsight, the red flags were absolutely everywhere from day one, but I was way too smitten and infatuated to notice any of them. Every single date had to be at the most expensive and exclusive restaurants in the city. When we went shopping together, she'd always naturally drift toward the high-end designer sections and give me these irresistible puppy dog eyes until I bought whatever expensive item had caught her attention. Her apartment was this tiny, cramped one-bedroom in Lodo that probably consumed about 60% of her entire monthly income. But she absolutely insisted on living there because it was trendy and supposedly good for her professional image and social media presence. Here's the thing though that I realize now, I'd been grinding and working my tail off for almost a full decade to build my career and financial portfolio, but my social and dating life was basically completely non-existent. I worked probably 70 hours per week, spent weekends studying market trends and managing client portfolios, and had maybe gone on 3 dates in the previous 2 years. When this absolutely gorgeous woman started showing what seemed like genuine interest in me, paying close attention to everything I said, laughing at all my jokes, asking about my work and goals, I was completely and totally hooked. She made me feel like all those years of hard work, sacrifice, and basically having no social life were finally paying off in ways that went far beyond just accumulating money and professional success. The proposal happened 8 months ago at this incredibly upscale steakhouse with panoramic views overlooking the Rocky Mountains. I spent $52,000 on the engagement ring. Yeah, I know that sounds absolutely insane now, but Jessica had been dropping increasingly obvious hints about Tiffany, this and Cartier that, for literally months. She would literally save Instagram posts of engagement rings to her phone and show me inspiration photos during casual conversations. When I finally got down on one knee in front of the entire restaurant, she started crying tears of joy immediately and was actually posting pictures and videos on social media before she'd even said yes to my proposal. That engagement ring post got more likes and comments on her Instagram account than any single post she'd ever made in her entire life. Wedding planning immediately turned into this absolutely massive production that seemed to get more complicated and expensive every single week. The venue alone cost $31,000 for just one day at this exclusive resort in Vail that she'd seen in some wedding magazine. Her dress cost $4,800 and required 3 separate fittings with a specialist seamstress who drove up from New Mexico. She absolutely insisted that we needed a professional photographer, a separate videographer, and someone with a professional drone for aerial shots of the ceremony and reception. The catering bill was projected at $18,000 because she demanded a premium organic menu with grass-fed beef and wild-caught salmon. I was basically single-handedly funding her dream fairy tale princess wedding, while she contributed maybe $2,500 total to the entire event, and even that was money I'd given her for various expenses over the months. But I kept telling myself this was totally normal, and what I should expect. This was what successful guys in my position were supposed to do, right? Work incredibly hard, make excellent money, and then spoil the beautiful woman you love? All my married colleagues and friends had similar stories about expensive weddings and high-maintenance wives who expected to be treated like princesses. I figured this was simply the price of having a stunning partner who elevated your social status and made other guys jealous. The Vegas bachelorette trip was entirely Jessica's idea from start to finish. She said it would just be her maid of honor Chelsea, and 2 friends from college she'd stayed in touch with. Nothing wild or crazy, babe, just some relaxing spa treatments, pool time, and maybe a show, she assured me repeatedly. The entire trip cost about $9,200 total when you added up flights, luxury hotel suite, all meals, show tickets, shopping allowance, and miscellaneous expenses. I covered absolutely every penny of it because her friends couldn't afford their share, and she claimed she didn't want to go alone or downgrade to a cheaper experience that wouldn't be Instagram worthy. Throughout the entire weekend, she sent me pictures showing typical bachelorette party activities, group shots at trendy brunch spots, all 4 of them lounging by the pool in matching swimsuits, getting couples massages at an expensive spa, trying on ridiculous outfits at various shops on the strip. Everything looked completely innocent, fun, and exactly what you'd expect from a bachelorette weekend. She'd call me every single afternoon around 2 or 3 p.m., always from their hotel room, always seeming a bit tired and relaxed from all their activities. She never once called me at night, though. Never when they were supposedly out at shows, clubs, or dinner. I trusted her completely, and absolutely never questioned any aspect of it. Why would I? I was giving her everything she wanted, planning our perfect future together, and she seemed genuinely excited and happy about becoming my wife and starting our life together. Friday night before our wedding, I was staying at the Grand Hyatt downtown because Jessica had absolutely insisted that we follow traditional wedding etiquette and not see each other the night before the ceremony. I was way too excited and nervous to sleep, lying there thinking about how absolutely perfect everything was going to be the next day. All our friends and family members flying in from different states, the sunset ceremony in the mountains, our incredible honeymoon in Maui starting the following Monday. At exactly 11:47 p.m., my phone suddenly lit up with a text message from Dylan, Jessica's younger brother. Now Dylan and I had maybe exchanged a total of 50 words during the entire 2 years I'd known Jessica and her family. He was 26 years old, worked construction, and lived in a completely different world from Jessica's carefully curated Instagram lifestyle and social media presence. She always seemed slightly embarrassed by him whenever he was around her more sophisticated friends, like he didn't quite fit the polished, upscale image she was constantly trying to project. But during the few times we'd actually hung out together at family gatherings, he seemed like a completely straight-up honest guy who didn't play games or create drama for entertainment. His message was short and absolutely to the point. Bro, you seriously need to know something before tomorrow. Ask Jessica about what really happened during her Vegas trip. You deserve way better than this, and I can't stay quiet anymore. I literally stared at that text message for probably 30 minutes straight, reading it over and over again. My first instinct was that maybe he'd been out somewhere and had too much to drink and was just stirring up family drama for no good reason. But Dylan really wasn't the dramatic type at all. He was actually the most straightforward, no-nonsense person in Jessica's entire extended family. If he was reaching out to me at nearly midnight before his own sister's wedding, something genuinely serious must have happened that I needed to know about. Vegas. What could have possibly happened during her bachelorette trip that was bad enough for her own brother to feel compelled to warn me about it just hours before our wedding ceremony? I immediately tried calling him back, but got sent straight to voicemail. I sent 3 different text messages asking what he meant and begging for more details, but got absolutely no response at all. I was lying there in this $400 per night luxury hotel suite, surrounded by my carefully wrapped groomsmen gifts and detailed wedding day timeline, and suddenly felt like I was going to be physically sick to my stomach. I spent the rest of the night replaying every single conversation we'd had about the Vegas bachelorette trip, how she always called me during the day, but never once at night when they were supposedly out having fun. How she seemed unusually tired and drained every time we talked, like she wasn't getting nearly enough sleep for someone on a relaxing vacation. How she kept insisting the trip was so chill and relaxing, but looked genuinely exhausted and worn out in some of the photos she'd sent me. By 4 a.m., I was literally pacing around the hotel room, like a caged animal, checking my phone every few minutes, hoping Dylan would respond with more information. The wedding ceremony was supposed to start at exactly 5 p.m. We had 190 confirmed guests coming, including people flying in from 3 different states who had taken time off work and spent money on travel. My parents had driven up from Colorado Springs and were staying at a nearby hotel. Jessica's mother had flown in from Phoenix and had been texting me all week about how excited she was for the ceremony. The final bill for everything was going to be approximately $87,000 for just one day, and I was developing this horrible, sinking feeling that the entire thing was built on lies and deception. At exactly 8 a.m., I absolutely couldn't take the suspense and anxiety anymore. I called Jessica's phone, desperately hoping that Dylan was completely wrong, and this was all just some terrible misunderstanding or family drama. She answered after exactly 2 rings, sounding as cheerful and bubbly as she always did in the mornings. "Good morning, handsome. Are you excited? I honestly can't believe we're actually getting married today. This is going to be the most perfect day ever." For just a split second, I almost convinced myself that Dylan was simply causing unnecessary drama for absolutely no reason. She sounded so completely normal, so genuinely happy and excited about our wedding day and our future together. But I absolutely had to know the truth, regardless of the consequences. "Jess, I really need to ask you something important before today. What actually happened during your Vegas bachelorette trip?" The silence that followed was absolutely deafening and seemed to stretch on forever. Not even the sound of breathing or background noise. Just complete and total radio silence for what felt like an eternity. Finally, after what seemed like forever, she said very quietly and carefully, "What exactly do you mean by that question?" "Dylan texted me late last night. He said I should ask you about what really happened in Vegas before we get married today." Another extremely long pause that made my heart race. Then her voice changed completely, losing all that cheerful, bubbly energy I was used to. "Dylan doesn't know what he's talking about at all. He's just trying to cause problems and drama for no reason. So absolutely nothing happened that I should know about or be concerned about? Nothing important or meaningful happened," she said, but I immediately caught the very specific word choice. Nothing important. Not nothing happened. Nothing important or meaningful. That's when I started hearing other voices in the background of her hotel room. Multiple female voices having what sounded like an increasingly heated argument. Then Chelsea's voice came through the phone crystal clear. "Just tell him the complete truth, Jessica. You absolutely cannot keep lying about this anymore. He deserves to know." My stomach immediately dropped to the floor. Chelsea obviously knew something significant. Whatever had happened in Vegas, her maid of honor and best friend knew about it, and clearly thought Jessica needed to confess everything to me immediately. "Tell me what exactly," I said into the phone, my voice probably shaking. Jessica was completely quiet for several long seconds, then said, "It's really not what you're thinking at all. It didn't mean anything whatsoever." "What exactly didn't mean anything?" "I accidentally ran into someone I used to know from college while we were out one night. We talked and caught up about old times. That's literally all it was. You don't lie about accidentally running into old friends and having innocent conversations. You don't have your own brother warn your fiancé about casual social interactions. You definitely don't have your maid of honor telling you to confess about completely harmless encounters with college acquaintances. Did anything physical happen between you and this person?" I asked as directly as possible. "No, God no, Ryan, it wasn't anything like that at all." "Then what exactly was it like? Help me understand." Very long pause. "We talked about old times and maybe kissed a little bit. I was really tired and made one stupid mistake. It meant absolutely nothing to me. I felt like someone had just punched me directly in the chest with brass knuckles. She had kissed another man, 3 weeks before our wedding, in Las Vegas, and then came home and acted like absolutely nothing had happened, while I planned our honeymoon and finalized countless wedding details and expenses. "Is there anything else I should know about?" I asked, though I was dreading the answer. "Number, I promise you, that's everything. Just that one stupid, meaningless kiss, and I regretted it immediately afterward." But something in her voice and tone told me there was definitely much more to this story. And then Chelsea's voice came through the phone again, much louder and more insistent this time. "Tell him about the hotel room, Jessica. Tell him about all the text messages you've been sending." "What hotel room? What text messages?" I demanded, my voice rising. Jessica's voice completely cracked and broke. "Ryan, please just let me explain everything to you in person when I see you." I immediately hung up the phone and drove straight to her hotel as fast as legally possible. Not the Grand Hyatt where I was staying, but some trendy boutique place downtown that cost $450 per night and had to be perfectly Instagram-worthy for all her getting-ready photos and social media stories. I stormed through the lobby, took the elevator to the 9th floor, and went straight to room 923. I knocked once, hard and loud. Chelsea opened the door immediately. She was wearing a white bathrobe, with her hair still in curlers, no makeup on, looking like she hadn't slept at all in days. She's out on the balcony, Chelsea said immediately without any greeting. And Ryan? She's been lying to you about way more than just one innocent kiss. I found Jessica outside on the small balcony, still wearing pajamas, holding a coffee cup with hands that were visibly shaking. She couldn't even bring herself to look at me when I sat down in the chair directly next to her. Start talking right now, I said firmly. Everything. Complete truth. No more lies. She took a long, trembling breath before speaking. His name is Brad. I dated him during junior year of college for about 8 months. He was in Vegas that exact same weekend for his friend's bachelor party. How did you supposedly accidentally run into him? I didn't exactly run into him randomly or by coincidence. He had actually texted me several days before our trip, said he saw on my Instagram story that I was going to be in Vegas that weekend. My heart sank even further into my stomach. So you actually planned to meet up with your ex-boyfriend during your bachelorette trip? It wasn't planned like that at all. I just thought it would be completely harmless to grab one quick catch-up conversation over coffee, as old friends, just to see how his life had turned out since college. What happened after this supposedly innocent coffee meeting? She was quiet for a very long time, staring down at her hands and fidgeting nervously. We ended up going back to his hotel room to continue talking privately. There it was. The truth I already knew was coming, but had desperately hoped wasn't real. Did you sleep with him, Jessica? No, she said quickly and defensively. I swear on my life I didn't have sex with him, but we made out for quite a while, and I ended up staying there the entire night. I felt like the entire world was spinning completely out of control around me. You spent the entire night in your ex-boyfriend's hotel room 3 weeks before our wedding. I passed out on his couch from exhaustion, she said, getting defensive. Nothing else happened after the kissing. When I woke up the next morning, I felt absolutely horrible about everything and left immediately. What about the other nights? You were in Vegas for 4 full days total. She started crying much harder now. I met up with him 2 more times during the trip, just for dinner and more talking. Nothing physical happened after that first night. I swear on everything I hold dear. I stared at this woman I was supposed to marry in just 7 hours. She had spent 3 out of 4 nights with her ex-boyfriend during what was supposed to be her bachelorette trip celebrating our upcoming marriage. She had lied directly to my face about it for 3 full weeks, and she was planning to walk down the aisle and promise to love only me without ever telling me any of this. Why didn't you tell me any of this when you got back from the trip? Because I knew you'd react exactly like this. I knew you'd blow everything completely out of proportion and ruin our wedding. Blow it out of proportion. Like her spending 3 nights with her ex-boyfriend right before our wedding was some minor oversight or innocent mistake. Did you sleep with him or not? I asked one final time, looking directly into her eyes and demanding the complete truth. She met my gaze and said, I didn't have sex with him, Ryan, but honestly, part of me really wanted to. That last sentence completely destroyed whatever was left of my heart and trust. Not only had she cheated on me and lied about it for weeks, but she was actually admitting that she had genuine romantic feelings for this other man while planning to marry me and spend the rest of her life with me. I stood up and walked back inside the hotel room. Chelsea was waiting by the door with an extremely grim expression on her face. There's even more that you need to know, she said quietly. What do you mean by that? She's been texting with him constantly since Vegas. Every single day without exception. I saw all the messages yesterday when she left her phone unlocked on the bathroom counter. I felt like my entire reality was crumbling around me. What kind of text messages? The kind where she's telling him that she misses him terribly, that she's completely confused about everything in her life, that maybe she's making a huge mistake with this wedding. I looked back toward the balcony where Jessica was still sitting there crying into her coffee. Why are you telling me all this information? I asked Chelsea. Because you seem like a genuinely good person who deserves complete honesty and respect. And because I absolutely cannot stand by and watch her destroy your life when she's not even sure she wants to be with you. I left that hotel without saying another single word to Jessica, got in my BMW, and drove straight to the wedding venue in Vail, approximately 2 hours west of Denver through mountain roads. When I finally arrived, vendors were already in full setup mode for what should have been the happiest day of my life. The florist was carefully arranging $7,200 worth of white roses, peonies, and baby's breath throughout the ceremony space. The catering team was busy prepping elaborate appetizers and dinner courses for 190 guests. The DJ was testing all his sound equipment for our first dance and reception playlist. Everyone was working extremely hard to create Jessica's perfect fairy tale princess day, while she was probably texting her ex-boyfriend about how confused and conflicted she felt about actually marrying me. I found the venue coordinator and told her we needed to cancel absolutely everything immediately. She looked at me like I had completely lost my mind. Cancel everything? The ceremony is supposed to start in exactly 7 hours. I understand the timing. Cancel it anyway. I'll pay whatever cancellation penalties and fees you need to charge. Just please stop all the setup and send all the vendors home. She stared at me in complete shock and disbelief. Sir, are you absolutely certain about this decision? This is an extremely expensive event to cancel at such short notice. I'm completely certain. Please start making the necessary calls. I spent the next 2 hours making the most difficult and heartbreaking phone calls of my entire life. First to my best man Trevor to explain what was happening and why. Then to my parents who were already getting dressed in their hotel room. Then individually to the photographer, videographer, transportation company, hotel room blocks, and every other vendor involved. Every single conversation was basically identical. The wedding has been canceled due to personal circumstances. Please send me whatever final bills and cancellation fees you need to charge. By 2 p.m., word had spread rapidly throughout both extended families and our friend groups. My phone was literally exploding with confused, concerned, and angry calls from relatives and friends demanding explanations. Jessica called me 23 times in just 1 hour. I didn't answer a single call from her. Around 3 p.m., wedding guests started arriving at the venue even though we'd desperately tried to contact absolutely everyone on our guest list. I had to stand in the parking lot and personally explain to approximately 60 people that there was no wedding happening today. Most people were completely understanding and supportive once I gave them a brief explanation. A few were genuinely furious about taking time off work and spending money on travel for nothing. Jessica's mother completely lost her mind and screamed at me in front of everyone for publicly humiliating her daughter and wasting everyone's precious time and money. The entire time I kept thinking about one thing. Jessica had been texting with her ex-boyfriend every single day since Vegas. While I was paying for her dress, her ring, her lifestyle, and planning our entire future together, she was telling another man that she missed him and felt confused about our relationship and upcoming marriage. At exactly 5 p.m., the precise moment we were supposed to be exchanging vows and wedding rings, I was sitting completely alone in my car in an empty parking lot, watching vendors pack up tens of thousands of dollars worth of decorations, flowers, and equipment that would never be used for their intended purpose. That's when I finally realized that Jessica hadn't just cheated on me and lied about it for weeks. She'd been actively using me in the most calculated way possible, using my money, my financial stability, and my genuine love for her, all while maintaining an ongoing emotional and potentially physical relationship with someone else, and seriously questioning whether she even wanted to marry me at all. And that's when I decided she was going to face some very real and serious consequences for all those calculated choices. The following week was a complete blur of returning hundreds of wedding gifts, canceling our expensive honeymoon to Maui, and having countless awkward conversations with friends and family members who wanted to understand exactly what had happened. I took a full week off work and basically locked myself inside my house, trying to process the complete destruction of all my life plans and emotional investment. Jessica's messages started coming in predictable waves, and the tone shifted dramatically as the days passed. Ryan, please just talk to me for 5 minutes. I can explain everything that happened, and we can definitely work this out. You're being completely ridiculous and overdramatic about this. It was one stupid mistake that meant absolutely nothing. Fine. Act like a child about this situation. You're throwing away 2 amazing years together over basically nothing important. I really need to get all my belongings from your house. I don't have anywhere else to keep my stuff right now. That last message caught my attention in a very significant way. Jessica's apartment lease had expired 6 weeks earlier, and she'd moved all her possessions into my house temporarily until after the wedding and our honeymoon. All her clothes, furniture, personal items, everything was currently at my place taking up space. And according to what Chelsea had told me, Jessica had actually quit her marketing job 5 weeks ago because she claimed to be too busy with final wedding preparations and figured she wouldn't need to work once we were married and sharing all our finances. So Jessica was currently completely unemployed, essentially homeless, and had blown through most of her limited savings on wedding-related expenses and maintaining her expensive lifestyle. She'd basically put all her eggs in the marry the wealthy investment advisor basket and assumed it was a completely guaranteed plan for her future security. I deliberately ignored all her messages and phone calls for 5 straight days. Then Dylan reached out to me directly. Hey man, I know this entire situation is really weird and awkward, but I wanted to apologize for dropping that bomb on you so close to the wedding day. Please don't apologize, I told him sincerely. You probably saved my entire future and financial security. Yeah, well, I thought you should know that she's been staying at our mom's house since everything got canceled, and she's really not handling any of this well at all. What exactly do you mean by that? She's been calling and texting you nonstop, posting dramatic stuff all over social media about heartbreak and betrayal, and telling literally anyone who will listen that you abandoned her over one tiny innocent mistake. She somehow managed to make you out to be the bad guy in this entire situation. I decided to check her Instagram account for the first time since our canceled wedding. She'd posted a black and white photo of herself looking absolutely devastated with the caption, "Sometimes the person you'd take a bullet for ends up being the one pulling the trigger." Heartbroken doesn't even begin to describe this feeling. Starting over is scary, but I'm stronger than yesterday. Betrayed by love. Starting over. Stronger than yesterday. Heartbreak survivor. The comment section was completely filled with her friends and social media followers telling her she was definitely better off without him, and that I was obviously not the right person for her, if I couldn't forgive one honest mistake from someone who loves you. She was actually spinning this entire situation to make herself look like the completely innocent victim of my unreasonable and unforgiving reaction to her minor mistake. That's when I realized exactly what needed to happen next, to set the record straight. 3 weeks after our canceled wedding, Jessica's carefully constructed world started collapsing in absolutely spectacular fashion that I couldn't have planned better if I'd tried. First, Chelsea reached out to me with some truly eye-opening information that changed everything I thought I knew. Turns out, Jessica had been lying about way more than just the Vegas situation. The digital marketing specialist career she always talked about so proudly, it was basically completely imaginary. She had exactly 2 small clients who paid her maybe $400 per month total. She'd been living primarily off multiple credit cards and the substantial amount of money I regularly gave her for various expenses for many months before we even got engaged. But here's the really incredible part that blew my mind. Chelsea discovered that Jessica had been planning to meet Brad in Vegas the entire time from the very beginning. She'd actually secretly purchased a plane ticket to visit him in Phoenix the week after our honeymoon was supposed to end. She was literally planning to marry me, go on an expensive honeymoon that I paid for completely, then immediately fly to Arizona to spend romantic time with her ex-boyfriend, while I thought she was just visiting a college friend. Armed with this shocking information, I decided it was definitely time for some strategic truth-telling throughout our social circles. I started by reaching out to several mutual friends and simply sharing the basic facts about what had really happened. Not in a vindictive or angry way, just completely straightforward honesty. Jessica spent 3 nights with her ex-boyfriend during her bachelorette trip and had been texting him daily about missing him and questioning our relationship. I found out everything the morning of our wedding day. Word travels incredibly fast in social circles, and suddenly her carefully crafted victim narrative wasn't quite holding up the way she desperately hoped it would. But the real karma came from a completely unexpected direction that nobody saw coming. 4 weeks after our canceled wedding, Jessica called me absolutely sobbing and hysterical. "Ryan, I know you probably hate me more than anyone, but I'm in serious trouble, and I desperately need help." Apparently, after posting all over social media about being single and ready for new adventures, she'd flown out to Phoenix to finally be with Brad, the guy she'd been willing to completely destroy our relationship for. He'd ghosted her completely after just 3 days and stuck her with a $1,400 hotel bill that she couldn't afford to pay. But the situation was actually much worse than just that. With no job, no savings, and no permanent place to live anywhere, she'd been bouncing between different friends' couches and family members' spare rooms for weeks. Her mother had finally kicked her out after she got caught trying to sell some valuable family jewelry to pay her rapidly mounting credit card debt. "I literally have nowhere to go anymore," she cried desperately into the phone. "I've been sleeping in my car for 4 days straight. I made a huge mistake about everything in my life. I love you and never should have done any of this." "Where exactly are you staying now?" I asked. "I've been parking at different 24-hour gyms around the city because they have bathrooms and showers I can use. I'm completely desperate and don't know what to do." Part of me almost felt bad for her situation. Almost. "Jessica, what exactly do you want from me at this point? I know I don't deserve to ask this after everything I did, but could I please just stay in your guest bedroom for a couple weeks? Just until I can somehow find a job and get back on my feet financially? I'll pay you back every single penny for everything, I absolutely swear." I let that desperate request hang in the air for a long, uncomfortable moment. "So let me make sure I understand this situation correctly," I said slowly. "You cheated on me with your ex-boyfriend, lied about it for weeks, planned to cheat again after our honeymoon, made me look like the villain when I canceled our wedding, and now you want me to rescue you from the natural consequences of your own choices? I know exactly how this sounds, but I'm truly desperate right now. I'll do literally anything to make this situation right somehow." "Anything at all?" Yes, absolutely anything you ask. Post the complete and total truth on social media. Tell everyone exactly what happened in Vegas, that you'd been texting with him daily since then, and that you had plane tickets to see him after our honeymoon. Tell them the real reason our wedding was canceled. Complete and total silence for a very long time. If you do exactly that, I'll give you $3,000 to help get back on your feet. If you don't, lose my number forever and never contact me again. She hung up on me immediately without saying another word. 37 minutes later, she called back with a completely different tone. Okay, I'll do it exactly like you said. That same evening, Jessica posted a detailed public confession on Instagram, admitting to absolutely everything. The Vegas situation, all the lies, the daily texting, the plane tickets to Phoenix, every single detail. She ended the lengthy post with, "Ryan deserves so much better than what I gave him. Our wedding was canceled because of my choices and my dishonesty, not because of anything he did wrong. I'm sincerely sorry to everyone who got caught up in my selfish mess." I immediately sent her the $3,000 as promised via electronic transfer, but I absolutely did not take her back or allow her to stay at my house. 8 months later, I heard through Dylan that Jessica had moved back in with her parents in Phoenix and found work at a customer service call center, making approximately $32,000 per year. Brad never contacted her again after that complete disaster in Arizona. She's still single, still posting sad quotes about lost love and second chances, and apparently struggling financially in a major way.